the blue energies are the adrenals, the kidneys, the bladder, the vagina, and the penis and urethra. I always get that wrong, urethra. And the urethra, the vagina, and the penis, they're the more, well, they're obviously very grounded, deep, low energies, but they give the potency, the kind of sexual potency that rises up through the body and up through this particular circuit. The bladder, and the penis, vagina also hold kind of our sexual karma for that area, which we spent the first webinar cleansing that. And then the second webinar we were more working on the bladder, which has a lot more to do kind of on the negative side, stress, but on the positive side, relaxation. As you clear the stress out of the bladder, then this helps with different kind of chronic fatigue type issues, or ME, or different tiredness diseases, just to take the stress out of the bladder. And this I find is a specific issue for healers, in that often we're taking on energy without realizing it, and for some reason that can accumulate in the bladder, and you just get used to it, and then it crystallizes at a level and then gets more. So it's really good to really clear the bladder, get the relaxation of the bladder, and then that kind of joins the blue energy circuit, so the higher energies from the kidneys and adrenals can come down through it and earth. And also the sexual potency from the urethra, the vagina and the penis can rise up as a potent energy source for the body and that circuit. And the last one, we were working more with the kidneys, which was a lot to do, well, they're a lot to do with the lungs. They're like the lungs for this circuit, but also it seemed to have a lot to do with our experience of our internal sexuality. They kind of govern our sexuality, and you can move from, you can be stronger on the right side or stronger on the left side, and there's a big difference between how you allow the energies to rise and fall from the different sides of the kidneys, and in some ways that molds our personality and the way we are, and the way we are sexually as well. So we worked with that last time, and this time we're more going to be working with the adrenals, and this is a lot to do with fight, flight. It's a lot to do with fear. It's a lot to do with excitement. Kind of goes hand in hand, fear and excitement together. And it's kind of a bright blue. It's the same color. It has also kind of has the energy of cops and robbers. That feeling, imagine you've done something wrong and you see that blue flashing light coming, or several of them coming down the road. It's that color, and that experience is kind of the adrenals. And the police have kind of got it pretty well, exactly that blue. It's the experiences like police cars going along without their sirens, but just that blue flashing light. And when you fly, there's also the experience of flying with the adrenals. When you fly in your sleep, this is an adrenal type energy. And also experiences I've had, the these two teeth here that vampires have. These are a lot to do with the adrenal energy and the energy of being a vampire, or that I've had several dreams that have been adrenal type dreams where I kind of become a vampire and these teeth grow. And that also is the energies of the adrenals, and or at least this circuit, but mainly the adrenals. And that is a bit like, it's not just the teeth growing, it's as if for a man there's a miniature penis underneath the teeth, and for a woman a miniature clitoris, and they come down because it's becoming, the tissue is becoming erect, and any pressure on it gives this sexual type quality. So there's some kind of interface with the archetypal energy and pictures of that. So that is somehow incarnated in this circuit as well. And people will run from this energy. It's a bit like, oh, I'm getting too nervous, I'm getting too scared, I've got to calm down. And rather than running that fear or that adrenaline as an energy, rather than doing that, go off and, oh, I've got to relax, I've got to calm down, I've got to change my life. But with the Kundalini and with holographic breathing, as that energy, as the energy starts going through the adrenals, then that is what is produced, is this quality of fear. And to come to terms with that and balance that and heal the adrenals, rather than running from that energy, you just running from it, you just run it, you just let that fear or that quality run through your whole body. And it can be painful because the adrenals are connecting to the nervous system. The kidneys are much more to do with the blood and the venous blood. The adrenals tie into the nervous system, and that is a lot to do with the experience of burnout. Like the whole nervous system gets burnt out and the adrenals get burnt out, and they kind of all get burnt out together. And it's, you know, you've got to change your life, oh, you've got to calm down, oh, you've got to do this or that to somehow stop it. But you never come to terms or evaluate or process or evolve from doing it in that way. And it doesn't have to be a fear of something. It doesn't have to be a trauma that you're scared of from the past, or something that you've done from the past. It can just be that quality of the adrenals, and to allow that. It's also, for me, the last station. We're coming up, the next, well, the ones we're going to run after this are the deep earth energies, and then we're going to go on to the energies of the brain. But the kidneys and this circuit, the next circuit up from that is the brain, and the adrenals for me are the last energy you meet before the Kundalini starts going through the brain. So there was always that flush of fear and excitement for me, as the, you know, especially in the early days when the energy, I could feel that Kundalini rising. There was something terrifying as it went through the neck, and then as it got through the brain, then I realized that fear was like I don't know the word. It just something you have to go through. You had to be able to be with that fear, like a ceremony or a gate or something like that. It was you had to go through the fear, not just go through it. You had to allow it. You had to allow that fear to run, to allow the Kundalini to properly go through the brain, like a rite of passage. If you didn't properly allow that fear, then the energy never properly goes through the brain in that way. And it's not just a rite of passage, oh, you've got to do that before it goes over. I think it's also a safety mechanism, because it's quite certainly, I mean, a flash of energy going through the brain is nice, but if it gets to the point where the energy continues going through the brain, like a Kundalini awakening that never stops, you do kind of need a safeguard in front of that. so that people who aren't quite ready for that aren't going to somehow venture in there. It's not, the last connection isn't made pleasant, as it were. So we're going to learn to be with that energy today. And we are going to include the energies of the penis, vagina, urethra, bladder, kidneys and adrenals. I did have an image of how I was going to run this, but it's already gone out the window. And we're going to learn how to use the energy of the adrenals as a resource, rather than something to back away from or to be scared of, something that resources us. And there's a strong connection when the adrenals do start running and you allow them to run, then that allows the penis and vagina to release. Before that point, the penis, the vagina and the urethra can release their energy to a certain extent, and it can rise through the body. But if it's still held at the adrenals, if they're not willing to feel that fear or educated out of feeling that fear, then it's only to a certain level. But as soon as you allow that fear, as soon as you allow that sensation, then the built up energy of the vagina and penis can release, and maybe before they can flow up through the body, but when the adrenals properly go, then they can flow through the adrenals and then into the brain. And I'm kind of feeling it just working through my thyroid and brain at the minute. The strong connection to the heart, kind of heart palpitations. If the adrenals go too bananas, have a heart attack, have a stroke, there are downsides. But also strong connection to the thyroid, to the hypothalamus area in the brain, the thalamus. And once the adrenals start releasing, then it can burn through a lot of the learned patterns of chronic fatigue. It's something I worked with a lot. Well, it's something I worked with a lot anyway. Just my whole career I've worked with Kundalini, and I would always hit this fear and not know how to deal with it. So I worked with it with that. When my Kundalini just kept going, I had to work with it, because if that does happen to you, then that adrenal energy is just going to go and go and go until you learn how to properly be with it. and then it becomes a different thing. Once you allow that energy to go through it and to be with that and accept it, one, it clears a lot of the issues of different diseases and tiredness, but then also you can move into the more higher qualities and relaxed qualities of the adrenals, because there's that fear building, and it's burning out your nervous system. But if we allow it with the breath, that fear is releasing. It's not burning out the nerves. You may feel it through the nerves, but it's releasing that build-up of adrenaline through your whole body, which animals don't get. Only humans really get that because of the way we interact. We can't run and we can't fight, so that adrenaline builds up in us. So running that energy, it burns that adrenaline out of the body. But then also, as we get used to the fear, it switches. As the energy goes through the brain, suddenly you're viewing it. And you've got the adrenals pulsing, but somehow you've moved to a new level. It's going through the brain, and you're just viewing that quality, intrinsic quality of the adrenals. And that is a whole different level, but we somehow have to go through the fear first and process fear, and this will work through the nerves. So also the pain, the tiredness, the adrenaline, or whatever it is through the whole nerves, that also has to buzz out. So I can't say that this is a comfortable experience, and so far none of the parts of the blue energies have been particularly comfortable, but the adrenals, I would say, least of all.